Are you thinking about making a move to Lynnwood, Washington? But before you do, you want to find out everything you can about the pros and the cons, the good, the bad, the ugly. Basically, what it's like to live in Lynnwood. That's exactly what we're going to cover in today's video. I'm going to go over all the good, all the bad, everything that you need to know before making a decision about whether or not Lynnwood is the right city for you. You know, up until about 20 years ago, myself, I didn't know much about Lynnwood either. The only thing that I knew was that it's located between Seattle and Everett, and it has the big mall. Well, about 20 years ago, I met my wife. She's raised in Lynnwood, still has family that lives in Lynnwood, so we're there on a regular basis quite often. And over that 20 years, I have grown to know much more about Lynnwood, a lot of good, some bad that you should know about in making a decision on whether or not Lynnwood is the right city for you. So if that sounds interesting and you want to get more information about the good, the bad, the ugly, then let's get after it right now. Hey, if this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything about living, working, eating, playing in Seattle, Washington, and surrounding areas like Lynnwood, then subscribe down below, tap the bell for notifications so you can be the first to learn about the current market here in Seattle. My name is David Sappenfield. The team and I, we get calls, texts, and emails every day from people just like you looking for help to make their move here to Seattle. So whether you're moving next week or next year, give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, schedule a Zoom call. All of our contact information is in the description down below. We're happy to help you make that smooth move to Seattle. So, like I was saying, we are covering everything Lynnwood today. Now, everything is not going to be just sunshine and puppy dogs. You know me, I'm going to keep it real with you. I'm going to give you the good, but I'm also going to give you the bad if there is any. And there is some negatives about living in Lynnwood. But I'm going to start you off on a positive note. We are going to cover the top 5 pros to start with, and then we'll move into the top 4 cons and just give you everything you need to know about living in Lynnwood. So let's get started with the top 5 list of pros for living in Lynnwood. Pro number 1, the Link Light Rail extension to Lynnwood. So by the year 2025, the Link Light Rail extension that is currently under construction should be open and operational, which all sounds great. Can't wait for that to happen. But what does that actually mean to you or the residents of Lynnwood? Basically what it means is you're going to be able to get around the Puget Sound region with a lot less traffic, a lot less stress, a lot less time, which are all good things. Now, Lynnwood, where it sits, is about 20 to 25 minutes straight shot north directly from downtown Seattle. Now, the 20 to 25 minutes is without traffic. So if you're driving at like 9 o'clock at night, yes, you can get into Seattle very quickly. You can get back to Lynnwood very quickly. But let's say you're traveling in rush hour traffic. That 20 to 25 minutes is probably going to look more like 60 minutes. And, you know, that's quite a bit of commuting done every day to and from work. So once that light rail station opens up, that is going to cut that rush hour commute time in about half. You're looking at around 28 minutes from the Lynnwood Transit Center into downtown Seattle. So 28 minutes, not too bad. A lot more friendly commute than sitting in your car, rush hour traffic for an hour every day. Light rail will be awesome. Just hop on, read a book, surf your phone, whatever. A lot less stressful, a lot less time. You know, and not just from a commuting standpoint, this light rail station is really going to help out Lynnwood, and it already has. We're already starting to see it, but the property values in Lynnwood are going to increase because people are realizing that, hey, I can live in Lynnwood where the cost of living is a little bit less and still get into downtown Seattle very easily. Now, they do have future plans, I'm talking like 2035, 2040, of extending the light rail all the way up to Everett, which, that seems like a lifetime away, but, it will be there eventually. So it's going to extend all the way up into Everett for, potentially those Everett Boeing workers, or if you're, stationed in Everett somewhere. That's going to make it a lot easier for you to get from Everett to Seattle to Lynnwood, just again, all the way across the Puget Sound region. So, light rail station to Lynnwood, that is my number one pro for living in Lynnwood. Pro number 2, Lynnwood's convenient location. Now, in pro number 1, we covered how easy it's going to be to get into downtown Seattle once the Link light rail station opens up. But, Lynnwood really is conveniently located to other parts of the Puget Sound region. Okay, so we're right at the north end where 405 and I-5 come together, which means it's really easy to get over to the east side as well. And by east side, I mean Woodinville, Redmond, Kirkland, Bellevue. So maybe you're working in one of those cities, you can get to those pretty quickly. Now, to get to Bellevue, you're probably looking around 30 minutes. Woodinville, you're probably looking 20 minutes, somewhere in between that for Redmond and Kirkland. But, there's also the HOV lanes, the toll lanes that you can pay to travel in and get to those destinations a lot quicker. Lynnwood is also conveniently located to Everett. Maybe you're working up at Boeing in Everett or another one of the companies in Everett. You can get up there in about 15, 20 minutes or so. So super easily commutable up to Everett. You're also really close to Edmonds, Mukilteo. Lots of great shops, restaurants, beaches, all really, really close to Lynnwood. So that's the reason we are number 2 on the list of pros for living in Lynnwood. Pro number 3, the cost of living. Lynnwood is located in Snohomish County, which just overall has a lower cost of living when comparing that directly to the county to the south of Snohomish, which is King County. So cost of living for Snohomish, a little bit lower. Cost of housing in Snohomish County is a little bit lower. But, I think that might change a little bit with Lynnwood and the light rail extension. I think that cost of housing will go up a little bit. But the other cost of living associated with that are, real estate taxes. Those are still generally a little bit lower in Lynnwood. Licensing fees for vehicles is going to be lower in comparison to King County. So just overall, you're going to take advantage of Snohomish County's more affordable cost of living by living in Lynnwood, Washington, which is why that is pro number 3 on our list today. Pro number 4, the Alderwood Mall. Now, Alderwood Mall is one of the largest and, in my opinion, one of the nicest malls in all of the Seattle area. Conveniently located where 405 and I-5 meet in the north end. Super easy to just get off your exit, shoot over to the mall real quick. Lots of really good restaurant options in the mall. There's a P.F. Chang's, there's an Anthony's. They also have like an outdoor section of the mall that has lots of great stores there. There's a REI, which is like a kind of camping outdoor recreation store. If you haven't heard of that before, definitely check them out. There's an Apple store. A lot of the typical mall stores that you would expect are going to be at the Alderwood Mall. But, like I said, when you combine the convenience of all those stores, the food options that you have that are all right there. They also have a Dave & Buster's going in, which is like a restaurant, bar, arcade, really just a huge footprint of just carnival games, arcade games. Kids love it. Great for parties, stuff like that. Great for rainy days when you need something to do with the kids outside, out of the weather and inside. But you know, Alderwood Mall, just awesome, really cool theater. There's a IMAX theater that's really nice right there in the south parking lot, and lots of parking. The parking options at Alderwood, you never really have to look for a parking spot for too long. At least that's been my experience when I go there. I seem to always get lucky though. But lots of different parking options at the mall. But yeah, I love it. It's a great mall, one of the best in the area, like I said, and the reason why it's pro number 4 on our list today. Pro number 5, an above average school district. Now, Lynnwood falls into the Edmond School District, which is in South Snohomish County, that covers the communities of Briar, Edmonds, Lynnwood, Mount Lake Terrace, Woodway, and portions of unincorporated Snohomish County. Great school district. If you check out their rankings for any of those schools that fall within the district, you can go to like niche.com, greatschools.org. You'll find that a lot of those schools in that district do have higher or above average ratings. Have a few stats that I'd like to read off for you that give you a little bit more details on the Edmond School District, and let's jump into those real quick. There are about 21,000 pre-K through 12th grade students enrolled. There's a student-teacher ratio of 18:1 for grades kindergarten through 12th. There's a total of 1,289 teachers in the Edmond School District. 65% of those teachers have master's degrees or higher, and an average of 14.8 years of teaching experience. So above average schools, great school district, just right there in South Snohomish County, but that's why it falls number 5 on our list of pros. All right, that covered our 5 pros of living in Lynnwood. Let's shift gears a little bit and cover the cons of Lynnwood. So, starting with con number 1, that is the lack of nightlife in the Lynnwood area. Sure, there's lots to do during the day when the mall is open, restaurants, other activities like that. But, once that mall closes and the restaurants shut down, there just isn't much to do at all in the Lynnwood area that you could do out and about. If you're not really into the nightlife, that's, I guess, not really a con for you. But if you're looking for, some later night activities, then you'll probably have to go down into Seattle. You could go up to Everett, Bellevue. All of those are going to be about, 20, 30 minutes away from Lynnwood. So I guess it's not too far that you have to travel, but that is our number 1 con, just the lack of nightlife in the Lynnwood area. Con number 2 is your commute times. So if you're working in the city of Seattle or somewhere around there, you're going to be sitting in traffic for quite a while each day. Now, I know we already discussed the light rail extension that is going into Lynnwood, but that's not for another 1.5 years, 2 years or so. So, in that immediate future, you will have to deal with the traffic of going into downtown Seattle or any of those areas, which, as I mentioned, can take anywhere from 45 minutes to over an hour of commute time. And when you're doing that twice a day, that just really adds up and it's not very fun at all. So, pretty big con in my book, but like I said, that will not be there forever, because once that light rail system opens up and expands up to Lynnwood, that will alleviate that issue altogether if you're willing and okay with riding the light rail system. So, con number 2 is the long commute times that you're going to have to deal with. Con number 3 is the traffic around Lynnwood. Now, I'm not talking about just the traffic getting to and from Seattle or other surrounding cities. I'm referring to the traffic just in the city of Lynnwood that you have to deal with from time to time. What I want to do is let's jump into my map. We'll open up Google Maps. I'm going to show you the problem spots that you need to be aware of. So let's jump in, take a look. Okay, so some of the trouble areas that you want to watch out for when getting in and around Lynnwood. Number one, and probably the worst right now, is going to be all of the construction that is going on 196th here. And 196 runs, the construction problem areas are, kind of from right here where this Wendy's is all the way to I-5. And what they're doing is a widening project to make it more accessible to get in and around that area by the future light rail station. So they just want to make 196 there, that kind of main drag through Lynnwood. They just want to make it wider, easier to get around. But right now it is just tough to get around because of all the construction going on. So this whole section right here, and we just highlight it, is kind of tough, just not very enjoyable. We avoid that area at all costs right now. When it's done and completed in the next year or two, yes, that's going to be a different story. But right now, avoid that area. The second problem spot, which you could imagine, would be right by the mall area. And what I'm talking about is this road that comes off of the exits here off of the highway, Alderwood Mall Boulevard, and runs all the way across I-5. Then you also have 184th going down this way. So this is the mall area right here. This is Alderwood Mall. These side streets, especially during the holiday season, late November, December, oh my goodness, these get so backed up and are just an absolute nightmare to get around if you hit them at the wrong times. So this is just another bad area that gets a little bit gummed up during those peak commute times. Now, the third area that you should be aware of is just right up here off of 164th, and mostly by I-5 is where it gets bad, but this kind of stretch right here can get a little bit backed up with that rush hour commute traffic. But those are kind of the three biggest problem areas. Of course, you have Highway 99 over to the west of the Lynnwood area, but those other three spots are kind of the big ones that I find myself kind of getting into from time to time when I'm in that Lynnwood area. So avoid those areas if possible during commute times. But yep, that's just the reason why it is our con number 3. Con number 4 is the weather. Now, you might not think that the weather would be that much different from Lynnwood to Seattle or other cities in the Puget Sound area, and for the most part it's not. It's pretty similar, but Lynnwood falls in the Puget Sound convergence zone. Now, it's probably something that a lot of people haven't heard of, but I'll try to explain it the best way that I can. I'm not a meteorologist, but I will try to let you know exactly what this is. So on the western side of Washington State, you have the Olympic Mountain Range, and when the airflow comes in off of the Pacific Ocean and hits the Olympic Mountains, the airflow splits to go around the mountains, okay? Well, it comes around the mountain, and then on the other side of the mountain kind of comes back together. And where it comes back together is that convergence zone. So Lynnwood falls right in that convergence zone. And what that means is that you usually have higher amounts of precipitation in the form of rain or snow in those convergent zone areas. So usually, when you're comparing, like, it's easier with snowfall. You can't really compare rainfall as easily, but I know, like, when we're talking to friends and family up in Lynnwood, they usually always get a few inches of snow more than any of the other surrounding areas do, and that's just because they're in that convergence zone. And you also get more rain. So might not be a con for some people, like especially if you love snowfall and accumulation of snowfall, but you do get more rain too. So that's why this is con number 4, is it falls in that Puget Sound conversion zone. Well, that just about wraps up our list of pros and cons for living in Lynnwood, Washington. Are there any that we missed that you think people should know about? If so, drop them in the comments down below. We'd love to hear from you. And remember, if you're considering making a move to the Seattle area or any of the surrounding suburbs, and you'd like to have a conversation maybe about your unique situation, what city would be best for you, or what your first step in the relocation process should be, we'd love to have that conversation with you. So whether you're moving next week or next year, give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, schedule a Zoom call. All of our contact information is in the description down below. We're happy to help you make that smooth move to Seattle. And until next time, we hope to show you around town. Take care. Bye.